We're all hooked up. Hello, everybody. I'm with Aly Robbins, and we're going to try something new today, and we're going to have a little conversation about social media and ag. And I've really been following Aly and enjoy the posts and the content she's been creating. So I thought, I have this great platform with the live. I can never think of anything to do with it. So I pitched her the idea of sort of going around and talking about the content that we see on LinkedIn and on Facebook and seeing how it works. And mostly, I think that we just wanted to encourage people in agriculture to get out there and start to participate in social media and get their stories out there. I'm going to Aly start with the introductions because we're streaming on my LinkedIn Live and her Facebook Live. So I'll let her introduce herself to my network, and then I'll introduce myself to people on her Facebook feed, and then we'll get started.
Cool. Yeah. So, hey, everyone. My name is Aly Robbins, and I'm the owner of Snowy Mountain Marketing. I live in Montana, and I help agriculture business owners increase sales through their website and social media. So we really dig deep into their marketing strategy that they'll be using online, and then they can, bring into to their local community. And so, a lot of people think that posting on social media is just posting all about their product and service, and they forget to add the value part, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today. So,
and my name is Richard Bradbury, and I am a sort of rabble rouser. I've been posting a lot about regenerative agriculture on LinkedIn, and always never lack for opinions. I don't necessarily, I guess I use it for marketing to a certain thing. It's also a way for me to think through what I'm thinking, and I guess I'm an oversharer. So I share most everything that's on my mind, whether it's popular or not. I have found that the marginal value, the marginal reactions that I get from participating and the connections that I make are just amazing, and I cannot emphasize how important or how beneficial it has been for me in the last couple of years, especially learning about regenerative agriculture and just what a tremendous network that I've been able to build up. So I stumbled into a lot of things on accident, and Aly's really truly studied it. So I think that it'll be interesting. And one of the things we thought we'd start off with is picking some content that we saw on LinkedIn or Facebook this week that particularly resonated with us. So, Aly, what's your thoughts for this week?
Yeah. So, I really have been thinking about this a lot, and it popped up today in one of our social media or one of our meetings. And, a lot of people, especially in agriculture, they are so focused on the logic and providing logic to their consumers, and they can't understand why people don't understand the facts, because they're the facts. It's presented right here. This is what the truth is, and yet consumers are still either disagreeing or resenting or fighting them still. And it's because they're missing a main piece in their marketing and in general, and it's emotion. They're not bringing in that emotion into their marketing and listening to their consumer, and that's kind of what we're seeing in our every world today, is they don't have the emotion part, and that's what people buy based off of, right? They don't buy based off of logic. They buy based off of emotion. We are emotional creatures, whether we like it or not. Even agriculture consumers, people like farmers and ranchers, they're even emotional people. They buy the tractor because it's going to make them feel a certain way. And so But for some reason, agriculture, us Aggies, we think we are just logic people. And so that's something that really resonated with me today. And I understand it's hard, for people to, especially farmers, ranchers, people in ag industry, to talk about the emotion. But yeah, it's something that we got to get better at if we are going to continue to promote agriculture and get ahead of the game here. So that's kind of what I learned today.
I think that's interesting. And one of the things that's dawned on me since I started talking about agriculture and food and that kind of stuff is deeply food resonates with people unlike any other product. It's like the hunter-gathering thing is so encoded into our DNA that you may have been a customer may have been removed from the farm or the ranch for 3 to 4 generations, but they still feel as though they have that tie, and they still feel like they have that investment into the food outcomes that they're buying into. Unlike, they're more apt, I believe, to comment on some sort of topic in agriculture than they would be like maybe flat screen TV. So I think the emotional component that you're playing about, while those of us in the industry may not necessarily play on it, it is something that is always first and foremost at the customer mind, especially like I watch my sisters and my wife try and get the right food for the kids. And it's seems that our feelings around food is extremely emotional. And I think to not show that emotional side when you're telling your story is sort of limiting. So I definitely, but the logic thing I also see, but I think that people underestimate how emotional ties that people have to their food.
Yeah, for sure. One of the gals said today is, when we're talking about emotion, it's important to have it, but it's also important to have logic. So what she said, or I can't remember if it was the other guy, but anyways, what they said was to lead with emotion and follow with logic. So make it emotional at first. And that's kind of what we do in, I guess, social media too, when we're writing posts and everything. We kind of do an emotional grab, and then we start talking about the logic, and it does make sense to do it that way because, yeah, people will listen to the logic as long as they are feeling a certain way, if that makes sense.
Yep. And the piece that I was also, so Aly was in one of Damian Mason's groups, and I actually also picked a post that Damian made from last week, and I'm just going to read it because I think it's so spot on, and I think it's something that I just sort of like. I felt like standing up and clapping after I read it, and I shared it within a couple of days of seeing it. But you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm terrible reading it aloud, but this is a really great post. When we in agriculture say we need to educate the consumer, it sounds a lot like we're going to do things the way we choose out here in commodity ag production and tell the customers they need to accept it. It's generally used to justify how we do things in light of scrutiny. I'm not saying that there's not a need to inform our non-farm customer base of the amazing things we would produce our bounty. I'm merely pointing out that most calls to educate consumers arise from our defensive nature when consumers question our processes, be they in animal care, crop production, or environmental stewardship. There's one or more glaring problems with agriculture oft-used slogan imploring we in the business to educate our consumers. It implies to our customers are stupid. Granted, there's a difference between stupidity and ignorance, but to the people on the receiving end of this, it's a bit of being told they need educated. It doesn't sound that way. I just thought that was really insightful, and I think people misunderstand just how little connection people have to agriculture. I've been in stores doing in stores talking about beef, and talked to younger patrons of the stores who've never even cooked a steak. They're really interested in it. They just don't have that skill set in their tool chest. So they're willing to get out and learn. They're very into where their food comes from, but they just don't have that background of cooking and all that kind of stuff. So that's really where, when you think about educating your customer, that's you should that like level. That's the, how would you say it, the prime. It's the very base. And there are some people run into people that might think that they are educating you or many different things, but it's just, I just find it super interesting. I never always try and find out where the customer is coming from first, and then try and work that way. Because I think if you make assumptions about people that are interested in their food, you're often on the wrong side of the assumption.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's another thing we kind of talked about today, was, our agriculture systems are so complex. Whether you're doing grass-fed beef or corn-fed finished, whether you're growing almonds. I mean, everything we do is so complex, and there's so much stuff that's intertwined. Truly, how can we expect our consumers to understand the complexity of our systems? And that really hit home with me today, because there's a lot of stuff in agriculture that I don't even understand. And I was raised, on a ranch, and I understand agriculture. I've been in it my whole life, but there is still so much to it that I don't understand. So how in the world could I understand my consumer to, understand it? It's just kind of insanity. And once you step back and think about that, it's like, wow, that really makes sense. We need to really get back to the basis and start looking into our ideal customer and understanding them, put ourselves in their shoes, and really figure out where their knowledge is in this stuff. Because it gets really, really, it's so complex that we have to get back to the basics for sure.
I think, let me see if I can get this thought back. I haven't been holding thoughts very much lately. Oh crap, it's gone. This is the point I want to make. It is very complex, and I don't know a lot about farming. I've been learning as we've been we feed some of our grass-fed animals on cover crops during the winter. So been learning a lot about farming. But we come from, sometimes people take offense when I talk about grass-fed, because they think I'm throwing the rest of the industry under the bus. So I have to be really cognitive of other people's feelings in the industry, which I've learned the hard way. But I think I'm getting better at walking that line. But I tell everybody that the advice that I'm trying, what I'm coming with is, if you want to produce the very best grain-fed animal that you can possibly produce, then go forth and do that and really market it and tell your story. I'm all for that. And there's plenty of marketplace for all of us to find our niches, or to service a broad base of customers. But infighting with other people in agriculture because you're not quite comfortable with something that they say, unless it's completely outrageous, but I don't think that helps the cause at all either. So
right, yeah, you were kind of breaking up there, but were you saying that kind of fighting with other people and bashing other parts of the ag industry isn't really helping? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, sometimes when I talk about grass-fed and stuff, the conventional beef industry really takes offense to some of the things I say. I've tried to really water line with that, because I mean nothing negative towards them. We still raise some cattle conventionally and raise calves conventionally. I just encourage everybody to share their messages and their story, and if you're in grain-fed beef, produce the very best grain-fed beef you can for the customers that want it. And there's plenty of customers out there that want it. So infighting within agriculture about what's the right way or not the right way, there's plenty of mouths out there to feed that, and plenty of wallets out there that will spend money on the thing that they feel is what they want to put on their table. And I think that there's only 1.8% of us in the entire United States, and we have to feed the other 90%. So I think we can all find a customer base that we fit well into.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about this the other day. There's room at the table for everybody in agriculture. There really is. Whether you want to start your own little, couple cows and have a couple chickens, or you have 1,000 head of cattle. There are so many people to be involved in this industry that it's we really need everybody to work together too, especially when it comes to fighting off activism, right? We can't be bashing each other when we should be trying to fight off the bigger picture here, the people that are trying to destroy us. And for some reason, a lot of people in agriculture think that they should bash each other because that makes them look better, right? And it makes them, it kind of, I don't know, incorporate some fear. Maybe that's kind of like what we're saying in our politics today. Incorporating fear enables those people to think they're feeding their families a healthier meal. And maybe there are some things to be said about the different health, whether it's processed or not. But we got to start working together if we're gonna survive the activism. And especially in my part of the world, there's this group called the American Prairie Reserve, and they, for some reason, the people that are starting to raise buffalo think that they got to say how bad cattle are, and it's just it's just a never-ending circle in terms of bashing each other, and it's not getting us anywhere. And so I think it's really important to build each other up, because there's room. There's so many people to feed. There's so many people that want what you're offering. That it's a good way to work together and support each other. So
it's funny you should bring those guys up. I actually was up in Malta and worked with. There's a group of ranchers out of Malta, Montana, called the Ranchers Stewardship Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing people. Yeah. And they're trying to find that better path to work with the people that are raising buffalo as well as raise cattle. And they're really doing some amazing stuff with the conservancy and the wildlife. They have a problem with the black-footed ferret up there. And by talking through everything and working together with everybody, they've managed to accomplish some amazing stuff. And if it's one way or the other, I don't think that would happen. So it's nice to know that there's some good people on the ground that just keep moving the ball forward and having an open conversation. And even there was a lot of dissent when I was up there, and they worked through it. And I think that they're seeing some positive outcomes. I don't know whatever became of them, if they're still around, but very impressive group of people that I met when I was there. And I'm sure they've collected more impressive people to work through that problem that they have up there. But I think all in all, it was a good turnout for the black-footed ferret.
Yeah. I mean, that group is really a great group. They have one of my friends, not Laura Boyce, but Laura Nelson. She's a journalist, and she's helping them now, and she's a part of the Farm Bureau. And I think people ranching and farming industry, we're really starting to take a hard look at ourselves and say, we got to do something different, because what we're doing now is not working. Trying to fight them off by bashing each other is not working. There's a book called Against the Odds, A Path Forward for Rural America by Bruce Vincent. And he used to be a logger, and his family had a logging business that employed 65 people. And he was one of the speakers at this program I was in. And, he talks about this, the activism. The activists destroyed the logging industry, and he said if there was anything he would have done differently, it's to simply stop fighting them, stop trying so hard to go like this, and bring them to the table and have a conversation about it, and ask them what their thoughts are and what they're feeling. And because trying to fight them head on is just, he said, it just doesn't work. We got to bring them to the table, have a conversation, and see how we can meet in the middle. And so yeah, I think that's a good path for us moving forward in the ag industry, because he did say agriculture's next. We are the next target for activism, and he's right. And so definitely a great book if anybody hasn't read that one. I believe it's on Amazon, and so definitely a good read, because he has a totally different approach than a lot of people might have. So
I'm dying to read that one, because this is such a serendipitous conversation, because I'm sitting in a town that once had 7 mills, and much of my activism around ag, it stems from the spotted owl getting listed, and that listing completely devastating my rural economy. And so I always have this weight on my chest and I believe that he is right, that if we don't handle the PR of agriculture correctly, that we'll suffer a lot of the same fate as the logging industry did. But I think that we already learned that, and I think that we've made some great steps forward. But when you live through that type of economic disruption in a small community, you just never quite recover, and it's a weight I always carry with me. So,
sure.
It's interesting you brought it up. So we're running pretty long for a video, but so let's talk about some sort of strategy that everybody can go out if they're uneasy about social media, start applying on a small basis, start trying to get some traction and get their story out there. What would be one thing that people could work on between now and next week, and that you think is a good way just to sort of get started on it and start getting your voice out there?
Yeah, so I kind of want to start off with talking about social media. Let me there we go. Social media can drastically increase visibility. And once you can increase your visibility, your sales are going to start going up. You're going to start gaining that loyal customer base. You're not going to have to worry about where your next sale is coming from once you get an audience for yourself. And that's why social media is such a powerful tool. I know there's a lot of rip roar going on in social media, but while you have the platform, use it to your advantage, because one, it's free. It's the cheapest and fastest way to market your business. And once you start getting that loyal customer base, or the loyal customer audience base, you're going to start seeing an increase in sales. And people need to see your stuff 9 to 12 times on average before they ever buy. And so if you think about that, that's a lot of newspaper ads that I don't even really think newspaper ads do justice anymore compared to social media. Now I still read the newspaper, but when it comes to marketing, it's just not, you just can't beat social media and your website. And so, the more people see you, the more they're going to buy, the more likely they're going to buy. You're going to build that relationship with your customers, and people buy people. So once you can do lives like we're doing now, Rich, we can get in front of our audience and just have a conversation about business and agriculture, which is what other people in the ag industry need. They need to connect directly with their customers and consumers. You can grow and scale your business from social media. There's just so many benefits to the platform. And so if you're looking to get started on social media, but you don't really know how to get started, you feel like it's going to be a time sucker, then I encourage you to just spend 30 minutes a day on social media at first, because it can consume your time if you let it. But if you're strategic with it, it won't consume your time. It'll just be kind of a habit you bring into your business, and it very easily you can market yourself. So first off, you're going to really want to narrow down your ideal customer. And these are 3 things I think you can do from now until next week. So narrow down your ideal customer. Who are you selling to? This is going to be so important in your marketing. A lot of times when I ask people, who's your ideal customer? They say, well, anybody that'll hand me money or anybody that'll pay me. And that just doesn't work on social media and on marketing online, because if somebody can't resonate with your message, nobody's going to resonate with your message, and then you're not going to stand out online. And so really honing in on the ideal customer and speaking their language, so you can stop the scroll and they can say, oh, that person's talking directly to me. So take some time to really write out that. The more specific you are, the better. And then, really picking one social media platform. I know a lot of people, they're on 5 different platforms because they think they have to be. And when you're just starting out, it's not a good idea to do that, because you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to, not know what you're doing, and you're going to get scattered, and you're going to be spread too thin, and you're not going to do it anymore. So just pick one platform where your customers hanging out on the most of. For a lot of people, farmers and ranchers, there are a lot of those people on Instagram right now, and that's a great way because they can view the Instagram stories and video their, what they're doing in their everyday operation on their story, and that's a great way. But do some research, do some market research, and figure out where your people are hanging out. Okay, 3rd thing, create engaging content and be consistent with it. Don't make it about you so much. Make it about your customer. Now, if you're introducing yourself, then that's okay. But when you're talking about telling your story, try to bring it back to your customer and how it's going to benefit them, because ultimately, nobody cares about your business. They care about themselves. So if you can bring it back to them and how it's going to benefit them, then you are on your way to gaining visibility and selling more. So those are the 3 things I think you guys can start to think about and implement. And it's an easy steps. So.
And I have to reiterate, pick one lane and get really good at it. And then once you feel comfortable in that one, the other one. And the other thing I tell people is I gave Facebook a good try, and it just never worked for me.
Yeah.
And, I ended up bailing out, back to LinkedIn, and I'm happy. And I think that just because you in one and there's no reason to get back in another one. If you have one that works for you, just stay to that one. The thing that you mentioned that's really important is I always go with sales, in real estate sales, is you got to have 6 good contacts with people before you even get to that place where you're even starting to build a relationship. So don't get discouraged. You have to go back over and over again and keep reaching out to people, and just let them get to know you, and don't get discouraged. Just keep going forward. And then the one thing that my tip was, and it's been extremely successful for me, and sometimes it's like getting up and working out at the gym. Some days I just don't want to do it. Some days I take Sundays off, but I post something every day. And they're not all winners, and some of them are real home runs, but most of them are just average. And some people get mad sometimes, but I sort of feel my way through it, and just remain humble and sincere about the message I'm trying to convey, and just that consistency. And so that's why I'm hoping next week about this same time, Aly will jump on and we'll talk a little bit more about what we learned from the previous week. I'll probably read that book. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, that would be awesome. And then, what was the best thing that happened to you this week on social media?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the best thing that happened to me on social media was just being able to watch my audience in my Facebook group. So I do have a Facebook group. It's called Marketing Your Ag Business. I go live in there and talk about marketing and tips and how to grow your business online. The best thing, just watching my audience engage with me. I really really have put a lot of work into this group, and I'm really dedicated to my audience. And so just watching them get results from the tips I've given, that just makes me feel like I'm on cloud nine and what I'm doing is working and it's worth it. So what about you?
I was going to say it was something personal, but I actually I follow a guy named Jesse Randall that lives in the Denver area. He's a ranch kid, but he's in the tech industry, and he just rolled out a sort of poor man's venture capitalist firm. And it's going to allow people with less access to capital to invest in startups and that kind of stuff. I'm really excited to see where he takes it. I know he's been building it for a long time. And so I'm not plugging it, but it was exciting to see somebody that you haven't ever met in person. And like when I fly to Denver or I go to Boise or something, I always try and meet somebody from my LinkedIn network. And I just never been able to connect with them when I was in Boise. And I've connected with some amazing in Denver. And when I've been in Denver, I've connected with some amazing people. And it's been a real pleasure and really enriched my life. But you develop these sort of digital friendships, and after you've invested in them for 2 or 3 years, when some of the people that you consistently follow have success, it's really sort of exciting, and you sort of get excited for them, even though you don't know their wife's name or their kid's name or anything like that. But you're just like I saw this guy put this, and it was outstanding. So that was sort of an exciting thing that happened to me this week, and on social media. So I think that's one thing that doesn't ever get played up. The richness and the diversity in the community you can build on these platforms is absolutely amazing. And I would encourage everybody to diversify. So find people, do different things. I have some great chefs that are in my network. And I originally started building it in oil and gas. Some of those guys are also in ag. A lot of them are very supportive. So that was one of the good things that happened this week. But
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was going to say, yeah, that's something that I've experienced too, is just the amount of relationships that I've built through the online world it's pretty incredible. And I've been able to bring a lot of that value to my local community. You know, I live in a town about 200 now. And so just bringing those new ideas to these small rural communities it's just so valuable to me. And it's really, really an incredible thing. So.
Well, I think we could wrap it up, but I think that this is sort of I put in in the description of this, it's sort of our pilot episode. So if you guys have comments or feedback, let us know, and we'll try and squeeze it into the next week about this time of Aly's game. Are you game for another go?
Yeah, this is a lot of fun, and just kind of having a conversation about things. And so for sure, let us know if you have any questions.
Yep. Or any suggestions or I don't know, I bought another podcast, and the guy that he sort of moderates that one goes, yeah, it's tips, advice, just let us know. So, all right. Well, Aly, I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.